Welcome to Alpha Wolf Trading. Did you know that there's over 12,000 stocks or companies that trade on the OTC? Between the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange, you have over 7,000 companies. But us as retail investors, we wouldn't know that unless we were researching. Because why? Wall Street focuses on the elite, the big companies. And where the retail investor has their advantage is in small and micro-cap stocks. Why? Because you have the opportunity to speak directly with leadership. That is what this is all about here at Alpha Wolf Trading. We're trying to find the hidden gems, and we interview the executive teams of companies that we think meet the parameters to be those hidden gems. I also want to make sure you understand that this is not a paid-for promotion. I collect no compensation for the interviews I do here. These companies that I interview have been identified as potential opportunities for me and the members of Alpha Wolf Trading to receive a higher than average return on our investment. These companies I have identified either because of a technical setup on a chart, a fundamental change within the organization, new management team, new products, all kinds of different things that actually lead me here. But what do I think is the most important? Leadership. And that is why I do these interviews. I want to understand what drives the person that is leading the charge. I want to feel their passion. I want to understand their vision and the strategy that they're going to use to achieve success. That is what these interviews are for. I want to understand the share structure and the cap table, the size of the TAM, the total addressable market. This is the opportunity to learn all of those things. So sit back and enjoy. And if you learn anything from today's interview, do us a favor. Subscribe to the Alpha Wolf Trading YouTube channel. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. I recommend highly that before buying any security, speak to a financial advisor and do your own due diligence. Hey everybody, Tim from Alpha Wolf Trading coming at you with a follow-up with Kopin. KOPN is the ticker symbol on the NASDAQ. Michael Murray, which I think is a rock star, just happens to be in kind of a crappy situation because he's inherited something that he has to deal with. But overall, Michael, you've been doing a fantastic job of operating Kopin, right?
Thank you.
So let's just real quickly, I know you're constrained because of, this is an ongoing legal battle, but let's talk about what's happened with the stock that's put pressure on it recently. Okay?
Sure. Happy to. So I think fundamentally, the last time we spoke, Kopin's actually stronger on the business side than we ever have before. So 55 million of orders, record for the company. We're scaling up production right now. We had a decent Q1 in terms of revenue. Q2, we're scaling and ramping. And Q3, Q4 look very exciting from that standpoint. So all things good on the fundamental front of the business itself. And we've got some new customer announcements that we're going to have in this quarter. And we've announced 2 new research contracts with one with the Navy, which is exciting, that follows kind of what LG and Samsung is doing with translucent displays. And then secondly, our night vision goggle technology that we're bringing to market soon. So all that is going well. I think we're going to have tremendous announcements on the customer front this quarter and next. So that's all cool. But right now where we are, we had an adverse jury verdict, unfortunately, on a case that has been with us since 2016. We were not expecting the exemplary or disgorgement damages that the jury awarded. We are going to fight them. We are going to appeal them. It is an ongoing judgment that has not been rendered yet by the court system in Colorado. So we're fighting that as we speak. So I can't talk too much about it, but I'm disappointed with the outcome, and obviously so is the stock.
Right. And you know, I think actually you and I were just talking about the chart, and the chart's in a, you know, look, I'm not gonna pull punches here. I mean, the chart's kind of that's not a great place, right?
Mhm.
But this is the way I view it. After, you know, we had a minute to talk about this. You know, the court system is an interesting thing, right? So you got this jury ruling in Colorado, um, which is their hometown, which is this is a little tiny company, right? You're a big bad corporation, and you know things fell in their favor. Those things can change very quickly. So, but you know, unfortunately, you're put in a position where now you have to put up a bond,
Mhm.
right? And that's probably what has investors concerned, that you're going to have to raise capital, and in this environment, raising capital is for microcap companies is painful for the most part, right? Now you've indicated that there are things that you can do that aren't, you know, you're going to try. Let's put it. We've talked about this before. You're not a dumb guy, right? You're going to try and make things as non-dilutive as possible,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Yeah, let's talk about that. I think it's important because we have a number of options for the company. Firstly and foremostly, those folks that know me like you do, I don't give up a fight ever. Firstly and foremostly. So, in that note, we've hired, I think, the best appellate law firm in the country, Quinn Emanuel out of New York City, to help us through this. And, you know, unless I'm able to settle this for something that's reasonable, in my view, we'll take this all the way through to appeals. And I think that's what it deserves. And I think the great thing about the United States is our appeals process, and I believe in the court system, by the way. Even though we had an adverse reaction from the jury, a hometown jury, you know, those sorts of theatrics that go on in a jury trial in a hometown like this, it happens. But that's why you have an appellate system. That's why I believe in the court system. That's why we're going to appeal this vigorously and rigorously. So I'm confident that we'll be able to do that. But I love the quote. One of my biggest investors said this quote to me. He said, you know, Michael, we came in at 89 cents and then we rode this stock up and made some money at $2.50, $2.60. We'll be there when you need us for sure. But the quote was from Warren Buffett: when great companies face a solvable large problem, that's when you make the most money.
absolutely, I
And I
agree
think
with that
that's the place
100%.
that we're in right now.
Yep. So you know, I'm going to talk about technically right now. I'm going to talk about the stock just for a second from a technical standpoint because, you know, look, reality is there's two types of investors. There's the fundamental guys, and then there's the technical guys. Right now, this is sitting in the technical guys' favor. They're salivating, I would say, probably, because they're putting in a what's called a bear flag below an area of support, which is the $1 mark.
Yep.
Right, $1 is big, obviously, because maintain NASDAQ listing, that whole thing, right? Now, why is it in limbo right here? It's in limbo right here because they want to know what kind of deal you're going to get with this financing, right? How bad is it going to be? And that's why they're going to try and hammer the stock. Now, you've got an all-time low back in, I mean, I want to say, what is that? 20 cents or something to that effect, 19 cents. I don't think you're going to go all the way back there because that's a long ways to go. But you could definitely pull down and then get. That's how you actually confirm a double bottom, by the way, right? I mean, you put in a low that's close to that other one. That is the definitive. That becomes the definitive bottom, right? That's how you prove that that is the bottom. It didn't go any lower. So the way I look at it is right now, I think the stock is sitting at a great area to start. If you don't own it, to take a position, and if it goes lower, I would be adding. That this is me, right? I'm not telling anybody what to do, but
I would say this is a gift. This is an opportunity to get into a company that has a very different strategy than it has had for the last 30 plus years under your leadership, right? So you inherited a bad situation. And like Warren Buffett said, this is a large and very solvable problem. This probably will take another year, year and a half. I don't know how long it'll take to get, but it will get resolved. And if it does get resolved in your favor, then what happens?
Exactly right. Exactly right. So the way I think about it is this is the worst case scenario that could have happened, right?
Yeah.
So when we get past the bond, and we will, then we will go to appeal, or we will settle this issue. And I've been trying to settle it. I think I've been pretty vocal about that. But we understand that there was some other things that this company wanted to do in terms of taking action against our patent attorneys, which gated that somewhat. So all that being said, there are other opportunities for Kopin to monetize our assets, meaning our IP portfolio. We have over 200 patents, of which some of them, quite frankly, don't belong in our future. So what do we do with those? Or there's ways that we can monetize those in terms of latent IP. We're looking at that, but that's going to take some time, of course.
Right.
We're also invested in 7 different portfolio companies where some of those investments, again, are going to be monetized just naturally because the companies are taking on investment. Some might be getting sold, as an example, and other ones are, quite frankly, good investments that we can monetize. I don't like to do that in a position of somewhat weakness right now because we want to raise that capital, but we can value those assets very, very quickly and generate cash from them. So as an example, one of the investments that we have was just sold. So we'll receive some cash from that. Another one of our investments was just invested in. So now we can do a mark to market because we now know through a third party what the value of that investment is. So, as an example, last year we had a big perturbation to the balance sheet because we had to write down one of our investments mark to market because they failed the SPAC. Now, guess what? We get to write them back up because they're doing better. So there's going to be things like that we can do and sell the shares that we have in some of those companies and monetize it, bring in some cash. So my target is at least, I want to bring in at least 6 million if I can through our assets, or at least mark to market. And we have to do that obviously within SEC GAAP rules, and we will, of course. But there's definitely opportunities there. And then again, as I said, once we get past the bond, the expense that we've been seeing on the SG&A line for $1.5 million to 3 million, give or take, per quarter of legal fees, that goes down exponentially because the costs around an appeal are far less than they are going through an actual trial.
Oh, is that right? That I did not know. Okay.
Yeah, it's actually, it's all about time. It's really the time to get your case in front of an appellate court, and a 3-judge appellate court system, I think, will take a look at the facts in this case, realize that Kopin had a contract that was agreed to. We had an amended contract that was agreed to, that we could enjoy the IP that we agreed to. And I think we'll be successful in that case moving forward. So I think the worst case scenario hit us. I think we can traverse that worst case scenario. And when we do, I think the stock will react quite favorably to it. But in the background, we have a great business. We have a new brand, a new logo, a new website, new technologies coming to market. Our order book is a record level, and we're executing. Our quality levels are now in low single digits of returns, which is exemplary for our business. So I'm really proud of what the team has accomplished in the last year and a half. And I can't believe it's only been a year and a half, by the way, that I've been here. But just think of what we can do in the next year and a half to 3 years before this even gets to an appellate court. So I think there's a lot of goodness there. I think the knee-jerk reaction of the stock makes sense. But I think, at 80 cents, once the window opens, I'm certainly a buyer at that point.
Very good. I mean, and you know what? That's something people should pay attention to, right? I mean, look, if insiders are stepping up to the plate, and everybody has to understand there are blackout periods where, there are certain things that are, if there's stuff happening with inside the company, they can't buy, right? So when that window opens, start seeing some insider activity, that would be a real positive thing, right?
Yeah, well,
So look, Michael, I mean, my view of the new Kopin has not changed at all. You just happen to inherit a thorn that is in your side right now that you're going to have to deal with, but you're going to have to keep executing the plan that you've established a year and a half ago, right?
that's right.
And that's what matters. Ultimately, that's what matters.
That's right.
Because you're growing book, you're growing revenue, and I mean you were on the way to cash flow positive, right?
Yeah. Yeah, we came in a couple $100,000 light of cash flow positive in Q1. We almost made it in Q2 last year, but it's all about absorption rate, right? And to get to an absorption rate for Kopin, it's around that $50 million mark of revenue that we need to get to, and also better quality. It's fundamentally just a few levers, right? It's revenue, it's quality rate, return rate, which we've now, I think, reached a new level in its goodness. And then thirdly, bidding better, taking better deals. And I can definitely tell you we've been taking better deals that are more profitable for the business and not taking as much risk on some of these things. And quite frankly, turning down some business that we just don't want to take the risk on from a profitability standpoint, because our growth trajectory is still quite positive. In fact, we finally started to hear some good news out of our folks that we work with on our armored vehicle program, that they're starting to see good demand get placed for our weapons site that we build for the Abrams tank program. It's getting some orders that we're starting to see from them. So that's good news. That was one of the perturbations last year, was the Set 4 upgrade for the Abrams tank was canceled. However, the good news is, as per our briefing with them last week, General Dynamics is starting to see some orders for that weapons site start to roll through. So it's going to be part of the upgrades that they're able to ship to their customer base moving forward. So that was a big relief and a great signal for us to see that program is A, on track, B, it gives us a view that the revenue that we thought we were going to get from that program is intact. So that's always a good news. And thirdly, one of the interesting things is, when we're done our PPAP program, once you do one PPAP's like an automotive qual, Tim, once you do one, you can do them all. So we're now getting some interest from automotive companies to work with Kopin on some micro displays. Haven't decided whether that's a business we want to get into or not, but nevertheless, our PPAP program is on track to be completed on schedule and on time and full. So good news there. The F-35 program is going very well. We're seeing some demand signals on the OLED front from those folks, since Lockheed got their orders from the US government. We're waiting for our orders in that area. And the AMLCD program continues to ship well and on time and full. And then obviously the thermal weapons site programs are going well. And we just announced last week our IVAS Now strategy, Tim, which is, how can we save lives today? How can we give the folks in Israel the ability to see in these tunnels today using thermal imagers and the night vision goggles? And we announced that Small Business Initiative Research Award last week. And also we're working with Wilcox, which is a great company out of New Hampshire, on their Fusion Claw system for a daytime HUD. So you can see where your buddies are and where your foes are during the day. Today, you can use this technology today, daytime and nighttime, couple of pounds in your backpack, and off you go. You've got everything that IVAS is supposed to be, that $2 billion contract, which we're still competing on and will compete on from a display perspective with Neural Display. But now we have an IVAS Now strategy that we can monetize this year, next year, and moving forward to help save lives. And it's great technology and available today. And you'll see more announcements on that from us very, very soon.
Any other innovative stuff coming out in the near future?
Yeah, Neural Display. So everyone didn't think we could do it, but we did it. It works, and it needs a lot of work. Let me be clear, but we announced that we actually were able to use our own software, our own AI developed software in-house, to do eye tracking through a microdisplay, a bi-directional microdisplay. The colors aren't where I want it to be, or the brightness isn't where we want it to be for consumer or defense applications, but we proved that it works. So we can remove some cameras from the Apple II Vision Pro as an example and do eye tracking for things like the spatial computing market. But why is that important? The reason why it's important is I'll use my son as an example. My son loves shoes. He loves Air Jordans, right? And if you think about using the Meta Quest as an example, and you look at a bunch of shoes across the screen here, if you look up at the top right against some Air Jordans and you see his pupil will kind of get bigger because he wants to buy that one, guess what you're going to get the next time you go to Facebook? You're going to get that Air Jordan, advertising. So eye tracking in those types of applications is $1 trillion industry, but you need to track the pupil and also size the pupil without adding size, weight, power consumption, and obviously cost. Now, Neural Display gives you the ability to do that eye tracking through the display, just like I'm looking at a display right now. It will actually track where my pupil is and the size of the pupil based on what I'm looking at. Great opportunity to reduce size, weight, and power in things like Apple II Vision Pro or the Quest. So that's our consumer strategy. We have a Korean partner that we're developing that technology with that we've not announced yet. And on the military side, defense side, it's the same thing, fight or flight mode, right? As soon as your pupil goes and you're engaged in a fight, guess what? The brightness that you're seeing, too high. You need to turn it down, turn the contrast up, and you need to do it within 500 microseconds. Neural Display can do that. That's what it's being developed for IVAS next and situation awareness like helmets like the F-35 or Chinook helicopter. When these folks get engaged, they hit fight or flight mode. They're just human beings like you and me. No one wants to get shot at. But when that happens, your pupil blows up. You got to turn the brightness down, contrast up, and you got to do it within 500 microseconds. And guess what? There's only one US company that can build that technology today, and that's Kopin. We're the only ones. And we have that capability today. And we showed it off, and we'll hopefully show it off at CES in 2025. But we got a lot of work to do. Don't get me wrong. We still have a lot of work to do on the tech, but we showed that it works.
It's exciting stuff.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Honestly, I love this job. I love this.
You still having fun?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the last month I've lost some hair. I've gone a little gray. I'm not gonna lie to you. I put on a few pounds, but there's a lot of fighting us. This is a solvable issue that is an artifact of previous management and the previous focus of the company. We'll get through it. It'll be a perturbation that we just have to get through. And once we do, fine, we'll move on. But the opportunities of the company are great. The market, unfortunately, Tim, is coming to us. The world is not getting to be a safer place, unfortunately. Our troops and our partners in the Ukraine, in Israel, in South Korea, and Taiwan are going to need the technology that Kopin has. They're going to need to see their adversaries in thermal imaging in nighttime before their adversaries see them. That's number one, save lives. Number two, make sure that we can deliver that technology on time in full so that it can be used and trusted. And number three, make sure you can make a profit at it. It is that simple. It is literally that simple. And we're doing well against our strategic initiatives. So as I sit here today, we're a stronger company than we were the first time we met. We are.
Yeah.
But we have this problem that we need to get past. And we will get past it. We've hired the best appellate law firm, in my view, in the country. And like I said, I don't go down without a fight. And I think this is worth fighting for. And we're going to go do that. And every company on the NASDAQ, Tim, has had to do this. Unfortunately, it's part of our life. It's just that the adverse jury verdict was significant. No, there's no question. But we're not done fighting that. We're working with our lawyers to argue that down if we can. And regardless, if we can't settle it, we'll appeal it and get the bond posted and move on. Simple as that.
Right. Listen, Michael, you know what I love about you? You didn't try to dodge an interview. You were more than happy to come on, talk about things, right? Transparent, straight shooter. You got a plan. You're sticking to the plan. This is pre-Michael stuff that you're dealing with. And you're going to get through it. You're going to get through it. This is an opportunity. This is how I view it, right? It's an opportunity And if it were me, like I said, if you're not in the stock, this would be a great opportunity to dip your toe. If it goes lower, you add. And I don't think Kopin's going out of business.
Mm-mm.
Not off of this deal. All right. Not going to happen. So a little bit of a headache, but you'll get through it and you're executing. You got new products, new customers. You said that'll be announced in the near future. You're going to keep executing, right?
Yep. Yep. And our customers, I've spoken to our top 5 customers personally. They're there to support us. They need our technology. We're sole sourced, right? With 4 of our largest programs. We're the only US born company that can deliver that technology. And again, we're sole sourced in those programs. So that's number 1. Number 2, we're adding to our order book, as I said earlier. Number 3, our opportunity pipeline is growing immensely because we're building bigger systems, the optics, the drive electronics in the system itself, and taking more share, and sooner or later getting into software as well. That's really where you start to see the profit drop through to the bottom line for this company. But I'm super proud of the effort of our team, what we've been able to accomplish thus far. We're changing out some of the board members, Tim. That's important for folks to be aware of. Jim Brewington, who's been our chairman, is stepping down at the end of June during our proxy meeting. Dr. Fan is retiring from the board. I think if you read through the proxy, you can see that. And we've been able to add Marnie Seif, who is an absolute pro. She was the former general counsel at Analog Devices, where I worked for several years. She went through the acquisitions of Hittite Microwave with me, Maxim Technologies, Linear Tech. She is an absolute pro, and she and I have been working on a lot of things together, and we look forward to adding Marnie to the board in the proxy meeting in June. So we're going to continue to add to the board and change that cycle up. And we've been adding great people, and that's what it's all about, right, Tim? Is a company's not actually the technology; it's about the people that create the technology. And we've been able to add the best people in the industry, and we continue to, regardless of this issue. We'll get past this and we'll move on. But it's definitely going to be a challenge, and our investors are there to support us, and they've been so supportive. We're very blessed to have great institutional investors that have said, "Look, I invested in you at 89 cents in January of 2023. We sold at 230, 240, 250, 260. Hey, I wanted to triple bag it or 10 bagger, but the thing is, I got triple. That's not so bad."
Right.
Right.
This is so bad, Michael. That's not bad at all. Like I
You
said,
know,
this is a gift, man. I mean, if people have to understand, this is a gift. This is a whole new company. This is not a pullback. Let's put it this way. Kopin has had swings like this in the past,
Mhm.
but the swings like that happened in the past were because they could never make friggin' money.
Mhm.
That was what it really came down to. It was just constant R&D, right? Uh, this is a different ball game. This is under a whole different leadership. This is something that was beyond your control, pre you, that you have to deal with, unfortunately. But there are a lot of outcomes where this could, literally binary event overnight, ruling goes in your favor, and it's a whole different ballgame, right? I
Right.
mean, so I like the fact that you were fighting this thing because it's the right thing to do,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you've tried to settle repeatedly, and for whatever reason, they didn't want it for what you felt is reasonable, right? Okay, so they have one win under their belt. Let's see what happens next. I mean, but you're not sitting there fixated on only this little problem. You've got a whole bunch of other things that are more important than this court case, right?
Yeah, and it's a process, right? And the thing I love about the US court system, it is a process. There's a reason why there's an appellate process for issues like this. And we believe in our position, and we'll defend ourselves because that's what we should do for our investors and our people and the technology. So we'll do that. I'm committed to it. But more importantly, I'm committed to our plan, focusing on growth, focusing on getting to break even and profitability. We came very, very close. And, I think a lot of where we are going once we get to the appellate process, obviously the SG&A will come back in line. You'll be able to see that as investors of how well we're doing, controlling what we can control. Unfortunately,
Right.
we haven't been able to control what the court does and the costs around a lawsuit. But as that settles down, we'll be able to control it much better. We do have a cost control platform in place. We are reducing costs as we speak. And, again, it's all about taking new profitable business. And as the old stuff that we have that maybe not be as profitable as we would like, but, we're sole sourced and we have to live with it in some cases, as the new business starts to layer on and the absorption rate of the fab goes up, so shall your profitability. And we're starting to see those signals now. We're starting to see the new business start to layer in, right? The new cost structure start to layer in, and some of the price increases that we put in place last year layer in for the first time in Q1. That was the first quarter that we had the new pricing in on these contracts, and it is making a difference. It's incremental, but over time, those little bits
that builds up.
It adds up, right? So this is a longer term play. It's a great order book that we have for right now, but look at where the market is going. Unfortunately, the market is going to thermal imaging, advanced AR, VR, thermal viewing for helmets, for spatial computing, etc. Micro displays everywhere in everything, including cars. PCs even have little micro displays in them now, which I don't understand, but they're buying them. And then obviously the medical market is now burgeoning, and we just are receiving our first production orders for our CR3 headset, of which we build the entire headset within Kopin. It's good margin because it's medical. We buy the OLED out of our fab in China and our friends at Lightning Silicon. Good profit for us. So all good. The markets are coming to Kopin. And we have the technology, 4 different types of micro displays that are built in the United States or with our partners in Europe for DoD, in China for consumer. And we've been working with this small little Korean company on the neural display that hopefully they can sell into their customer base, of which is quite.
I like the fact that you're going to go through your IP and get rid of some of the stuff that's really shouldn't be there, right? If you can monetize that, that's fantastic.
Yeah, and it costs money to maintain those patents. So
right.
If we're going to use them and we're paying to maintain them, just to say that we have 200 patents, does that make sense? I don't think so. So let's monetize that. It's going to take us a little while to do it. Unfortunately, it's a longer term process.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at our investments too and say, does this make sense for us to even be in? Does this make sense for us strategically? If not, let's look to monetize it. But I'm not going to do it from a place of desperation or anything like that. We need to get fair value for our investors and cash out of those investments properly. So that's the mindset that we're using. And we still have 20 million in cash. We were considering having to do some sort of raise this year anyway, but we'll see how that rolls through with this bond. And I think that's what's really, disturbing the stock. But once we get through it, I think, we'll be fine.
Yep, I think so too, Michael. I think you're going to do just fine, man. I'm going to have to call you a warrior.
You got to be these days. You got to be. The one thing I've learned in this position, Tim, is you got to be a fighter. I am a fighter. I always have been. And that's how you win in business. It's how you win in life. It's how I win in when I played hockey, and that's kind of the person that I am. But more importantly, we have a great team. No one wins on their own.
Right.
Great executive team. We're up, taking the opportunity to refresh the board of directors with great leadership. We just brought on David Newsma from Collins Aerospace. He's an all-star, president of Collins Aerospace for many years. Super, super smart guy. We're adding Marnie Seif, former general counsel of Analog Devices. There's a couple other folks we're looking at adding to the board. And our executive team, I think, is very focused on the plan, and we're bringing in the best talent. So from that standpoint, it's all about the people. People will grow the technology. The technology will grow the customer base through innovation and invention, and we just need to monetize it better. It is that simple, and that's what we're executing on right now. So we'll get through it. Unfortunately, I don't think every company on the NASDAQ right now, I think, has been sued at this point in time. It's just a fact of life, and we'll get through it.
Yeah, I don't think any of these departments that you're currently serving are going to go away. I'm pretty sure the demand for these things is just going to get bigger over time, right?
Yeah, the demand signals that we're seeing for micro displays, because of the Apple II Vision Pro entrance, Oculus taking a much more aggressive stance in the market. Tier twos are all fired up on the spatial computing side of things. So the overall TAM, if you think about TAM, total available market for micro displays, it just grew, exponentially by about $1 billion because of Apple, Google, Meta, and LG specifically. But the U.S. Department of Defense also grew because one of the big orders that we just announced in Q1 was a new thermal weapon sight for a new weapon that the U.S. DoD has selected. It's a new squad fire weapon called the XM7 and XM250, I believe, if I'm correct on that. But they need new thermal weapon sights, and we've been able to access that platform. And that is a new line of business for us, even though it's the same type of thermal weapon sight, new configuration. So we now have 2 thermal weapon sights in the market with the US DoD. Super cool. We'll see that go for a few years in the current configuration before it turns into a new design. So that's going well. We got some good buy signals out of our friends at the Abrams tank program. So that's good news. We were wondering how that was going to play out when SEP 4 was canceled. The good news there is they're selling our platform into SEP 3 and SEP 2 upgrades, and they're seeing some demand from their customers, which is great news for the company. And then obviously we have our fast mover programs with the F-35 and other fixed wing and rotary wing programs. So all those things are going well. We're hitting our milestones. Unfortunately, the world is not going to get to be a safer place, in my view, in the next little while. And we're well positioned for that. And then we have our medical business, which is taking off.
Starting.
Business. We've got a great story in neural display, and no one's got that technology so far. So yeah, I think we're in a good place at the moment in a great market.
You're sleeping fine, huh?
Oh, yeah. Sleep, not so much. I wish. I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not sleeping much. But it's exciting. I think the last month has taught me a lot about how to think about risk in the business, how to make sure that things like this don't happen again, quite frankly, and how to choose partners wisely, make sure that we document it wisely, and cover our 6, right? So things will never go perfectly. It's how you learn from them. And I just
See, I love this about you, man. This is so good, Michael. You're absolutely right. I mean, look, things are going to happen that are beyond your control. And it's just what can you take away that's going to make you stronger, right?
Correct.
And you're doing that. I mean, you got to face the music. It's like you can't just ignore it. It's got to happen. But how do you make sure this doesn't happen again, right?
Right. For both sides, I think it's important to say that there's 2 sides to this, and all disagreements. When you have a partnership, there's always 2 sides, like a marriage, right? There's always 2 sides to a story, and feelings get hurt, contracts get trampled on, but it's how you react to them and make sure that you move forward as partners and solve these issues before they get to a level that this one got to. So we learn from that, we'll get better from it, and we'll get past it. But again, if we don't learn from it and we make the same mistakes, I'm not going to accept. So,
All right, Michael, when should we, you think you got any catalysts that are coming up in the near future that we should do a real quick follow-up with?
Yeah, I definitely think Q3, Q4, start of Q4 is going to be an interesting time for us because our ramp rate is now hitting. Q1, we had to buy a lot of material. Q2, we're now ramping, so we're building more per week, which is great news, and the quality's holding, which is fantastic. We'll have a bit of in Q3. I think we'll still see that ramp go through, but it's holiday season and what have you. And we also have the perturbation of the judgment happening in Q3. So that is tough to have visibility through. So the start of Q4, I think, is going to be interesting because we'll have a lot of visibility. This issue will be somewhat resolved from a standpoint. We'll know what the judgment is. And then obviously we'll have a view of 2025, which seems to be shaping up much better than I actually thought it was going to. And then obviously the next 3 years, we're building our strategic plan this year for the next 3 years based on the investments around neural display and our IVAS Now strategy, which we've just recently unveiled. So we see some pretty significant upside on that. So all that being said, I think Q4 is a good time to reset.
Yeah, so once we get some more clarity on this whole situation, maybe that's when we'll come back and we'll do an update, right?
Good.
Sound good?
Yes, sir.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, okay?
No, thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, hold on 1 second. I'm going to shut this off. You feel as though I missed anything?
I don't think so. I think, you hit the technicals, which people value, by the way, from you. And those insights I think are important. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is, right? And exactly what you said, and I appreciate you saying is, I'm not hiding from this thing. Got to talk about it, and that's what I think investors want to see, right? If we don't say anything, it's not so great.
Well, it's not the entire focus. I mean, look, this is not a live or die situation. It's just not. I mean, this is a temporary situation that you're going to get through. And you have, like I said, more important things that you're working on that are going to matter more. That's the bottom line, right? I mean, way more.
Yep.
If you're not following Kopin, go to their website, sign up for their investor alerts so that you can pay attention to what's happening with the stock. Like I said, I think this is a tremendous opportunity right here. Thank you for tuning in to another CEO interview here at Alpha Wolf Trading. Today we had a follow-up with Michael Murray from Kopin, ticker symbol KOPN. I hope you enjoyed today's interview, and if you did, do us a favor, give us a like. How about giving us a share? And please make sure to smash that subscribe button. All those things are extremely important to us here at Alpha Wolf Trading, and we appreciate you taking the time to do those things. Until next time, stay safe. Alpha Wolf Trading wishes you the very best of success.